Well, friends, a little bit different from what we expected, but all the same interesting. Are there any questions that you have? Maybe we'll just give the mic and you can raise. Alternatively, in order to give you some time to think, I'll start with a question. In terms of public policy, what are the things that Israel did that really you think made a difference? Good, yeah. It's on.
Okay. Look, the public policy was defined about 40 years ago, formally, by law. We have in Israel a law called the R&D law.
R&D law?
The R&D law. So it's a law. It doesn't depend on any minister, any part or something like this, okay? It was a law which passed, and there is an agency, a government agency called the Chief Scientist Office or something like this, which is in charge of with implementing this law. And this law sets certain goals. Well, obviously not which disruptive technology to choose, but certain goals which serve the people, right? It's not like the Uzi, the Uzi gun is one of the results, but that was because we needed our own defense. Right? So this is what clearly had an impact. And there is a certain amount in the budget, in the government budget, which by law the government must invest. Okay? We don't let the government decide too much. They had to invest this stuff, otherwise they don't obey the law. So this is what happened. Now, unfortunately, this law was not adapted for practically. Only minor changes were a couple of years ago, so it's quite obsolete. So nowadays, I think the best contribution of the public policy is that there is none.
There's none.
Well, there are obviously all kind of budgetary allocations and so on, but they don't really drive the process. I say it's the best because, as I said, people know nowadays better than the government agencies what to do. So the process is very much driven by industry associations, by academia. Academia must everywhere take the leading role. So academia is very much involved. And by the young generation. Our kids, at the time they read and write, they start thinking about their exit, not only their startup, but their exit already. So this is a...
And is this part of your culture in Israel that everybody thinks about entrepreneurship and innovation, or
well,
is it?
Think about it. This is it's not that maybe we plan it this way, but we have to. Our kids are going to the army very early. At the age of 18, they go to mandatory, and the army is mandatory there.
Army.
So we have to. Their childhood is very short, and this is why first of all, we give them a lot of freedom. So we raise our kids to be very independent. And secondly, they go there and they take responsibilities over their lives and their friends' lives and over our lives very early. So we better have responsible people there, right? So this is why all the education is not a formal education. It's how we raise our children is actually what the Harvard will say, building entrepreneurial entrepreneurs in a society. Except that in our case, at the age of 20, they are already potential entrepreneurs. And when they leave the army and they go back to the civilian life, obviously they use this. While, let's say in Europe, that happens at the age of 40, maybe, or 27, when they leave the home. So this is not an up-down driven process, but this is what happens there.
Yes, questions? Yes, I can see two hands there, one guy and a lady. Can someone give a mic there? Please speak loudly.
Perhaps not a McKinsey report or survey.
Can you just repeat the question from the beginning because I didn't?
Yeah, I repeat again. Perhaps I'm thinking that what's really motivate to think like innovative ideas in any sector for Israeli people, and that's perhaps not from any McKinsey report or surveys. and what's the ecosystem basically, as you think as the Israeli national from your side
Okay.
for innovation?
Okay.
What's really motivating?
All right. So what it is very Israeli is to identify a problem and take ownership of it. I mean, this is actually the essence of. I don't know if you know what is the origin of the term entrepreneur. Entrepreneur comes from French. It's entre and prendre. It's entre is going in, and prendre is to take over. Yeah, so which is different from innovation. It's a word which was created 100 years later after innovation. So first it was innovation, inno, novo, and entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is by, you go, you see a problem somewhere, and taking ownership over it, saying, well, this is now my problem, right, and I'm going to solve it. This is very Israeli in the spirit, okay? The society and everyone is very much involved. So from this perspective, we are right now, for example, the next boundaries, the next 3 areas of edge technology, edge developments in technology and entrepreneurship, from our perspective, are the 3 major problems of the human beings for the next 25 years. One is energy, whatever we have. Clearly, energy is a problem. I mean, energy is going to be scarce, and fossil energy is diminishing, and by construction, you are like the richest when you own the resource, when you discover the resource. When you start to exploit it, you become actually poorer and poorer. So even economically, it's clear that the world will have to find something, right? And so replaceable energy is important. We don't have a problem of energy, by the way, but it is important. We already solved the problem of water management. By next year, Israel will be completely independent of rain or stuff like this by desalinization and the water management. And then the aging population, as I said, nanorobotics delivery of drugs is one of the areas, and increase the productivity of the healthcare system. And the third one is the eco-innovation, including agrotech. Food is going to be a problem. I mean, quality food is going to be a problem in the world. And we are very small people, but this is what we do. So if you are looking for sources of, to join with forces with Israelis for the 20, 25 years, the way the Israelis see it, these are the 3 areas. Not Uzi anymore.
Yes, that lady next to her.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Vaibhavi. I want you to give comments to this question. Which kind of model would be ideal for India to become next Israel, keeping in mind the vast differences between the 2 countries?
Why do you want to be next Israel? I mean, I have 2 daughters. Both of them, after their army service, came to India for 6 months to have fun. Look, I don't think that you want to be next Israel. You want to be next India. And this is. Thank you. I mean, for you, for this. But this is indeed. I mean, think about. Forget Israel. I mean, we are there, and as I said, we are now knowledgeably, cognitively want to help you with advice and experience, but mainly telling you what not to do, what we did wrong. We did many things wrong. So you just go there, move by yourself. You'll find a way. You'll probably make mistakes. Don't be afraid of it, and mostly educate the young generation. I mean, I don't know. I shall ask you. At your age, what do you want to be? How do you want to be the next India? Okay, how do you see it? If you tell me, I will give you my inputs. But it's you who must drive this stuff. The young generation. I don't know if it answers. Maybe I disappoint you, but don't try to be next Israel. Well, you can shrink to be very small, right? But
Okay, the guy in the middle, and then we'll come down here. The next question.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. I'm Jiesha. I'm a student of IIT-GN. So my question is, you mentioned about the academia's role in the public policy formation also. So can you elaborate more on the model in the Israel that exists about the academia's participation in the public policy role?
Right. So the basic model I refer to is similar to medical school, right? I mean, the doctors are teaching students, and the professors are treating patients. This is what must happen with entrepreneurship. We cannot teach entrepreneurship on theoretical models. And this is the idea. In addition, there is a problem. I mean, there are three areas, three mechanisms to build an entrepreneurial ecosystem. One is research, obviously. I mean, innovate something, try to find something new. Education and community contact. I mean, there is need to bring the community into this entrepreneurial spirit, to accept failure, to accept risk. Now, these three processes are done independently by not correlated bodies generally, like, it's charity for the community, schools for education, and research institutes or research universities in research. Now, if those are what happened in Israel, and this is what we learned, what happened in Israel, that all this went integrated somehow in a holistic model. By the way, United Nations is now using this model, like the sustainable entrepreneurial capital formation model based on the holistic approach, as a reference for developing countries, especially in East Europe. So it's a public knowledge, right? But this is why academia must be there, because academia, between the three organisms which are operating there, is the only one which has contact on everything. How? Entrepreneurship centers, initiatives like the one like I create, when the industry, the government, and the business sector are joining forces, but around universities. The professors must take the lead, not by dictating, by serving the cause. I mean, they must serve their students and their communities and their industry in the neighborhood, not to tell them what to do, to assist them to do this. But the academia has the leading role by construction.